Greetings all, Ferrari Man 601 here. Welcome for the first official time to F1 2018. Yes, I know that I've put up a slew of quick races just for your viewing pleasure. However, this is our first real look at F1 2018. Obviously, Codemasters releasing this game amid much hype and much fanfare. This is the official video game of the 2018 Formula One World Championship. I welcome you to Spa-Francorchamps. I welcome you to the cockpit of the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. We are in a 90-minute free practice session here today. We're going to be doing a short qualifying session as well as a 25% race. However, first, what I want to do is just talk a little bit about what it's like to drive these cars in 2018. Those of you who have been following the channel, you'll know that we got our first look for us here on Ferrari Man 601 at 2018 machinery quite a few months ago, starting off with Race Sim Studios' release of Formula Hybrid 2018, that following up on their 2017 release for Assetto Corsa. That was our first taste of 2018 Formula One. In terms of the technical regulations, 2018, basically a continuation of 2017. However, the big change from the driver's seat is Halo. We got used to Halo, we took it apart, we took a look at it. Our first run actually for Halo was last year on the Ferrari SF70H, modified to run a Halo in Assetto Corsa. However, we have since taken apart Halo. We've gotten used to driving with it. I know that I've certainly gotten used to driving with it as well. However, for the console crowd, this F1 2018 is going to be your first look at driving a Formula One car with Halo on board. It is a bit of an adjustment to make. My only real words of advice to you: eyes up and look as far ahead as possible. The way that you're going to be picking out your landmarks in terms of your braking points, it's a little bit different. You tend to look more off to the side now. Team radio there, just talking over us right now. I don't need driving advice for you, thank you very much. I have 20 years of sim racing experience. However, Halo, your landmarks, you're looking far more off to the sides now than you maybe have been used to, and you're doing that far sooner. For example, the best example that I can give here at Spa is going to be coming down start-finish, the run from the chicane to La Source. You've got your braking point picked out probably at the beginning of the start-finish straight, versus in a 2017 and older car, you can wait until you're basically at the 200-meter board approaching into La Source to pick your braking point. So you've definitely got to be thinking a little bit further ahead when you're driving with Halo. Those of you who are just getting used to this now for the first time, good luck. However, what I want to do here today is just talk a little bit about what it's like to drive these latest cars in F1 2018. Obviously, Assetto Corsa, that's a proper sim. We've already dissected what it's like to drive these cars there. But for the rest of the world, for the console crowd in particular, what's going on here in these 2018 cars, and how does it compare to what we got in F1 2017? Obviously, I've done some extensive running in there. We've taken that one apart. Last year, I knew that I was going to draw some flack with my initial criticisms of that game. However, this time around, I'm tempering my expectations a little bit. I am not judging this as a hardcore sim, but I do have to say that my initial impressions have been a bit better than I initially anticipated. So, let's get this thing out on track and take a look.
A bit like a rubber out on track. Try to take it easy for a couple of laps.
We're fired up. Waiting for our cue to go, and off we are into the pit lane here at Spa. We'll go through all of the different subsystems that we have to manage now as we turn a few laps. However, let's just get going. Coming down the secondary starting grid through Eau Rouge, and that's Raidillon actually. Up the Kemmel Straight now into the DRS zone. 8th gear. And just working ourselves up to temperature with the brakes and the tires. We'll go through all of the different MFD screens that we have available to us. significantly updated MFDs, at least in some respects here in 2018. Those of you familiar with 2017 will definitely know a difference here. Let's take it from the top here with our MFDs. Direct your attention, if you would, to the lower right-hand corner of your screen. You will see our first MFD on display here. This is our tire wear indicator. Obviously, it is going to be showing us the general state of our tires, where they are in their life cycle. This is a brand new set. This is our first run in free practice, therefore we don't have any scrub sets yet, and you're seeing that reflected on the MFD. We have 0% on all four corners. It's just ticked up to 1% now on all corners except for the left front there. That obviously will cycle between 0 and 100 dependent on what your tires are doing at any given time. To our next MFD. This is arguably the most important. This one is your overall car status indicator. This one is showing you temperatures.
Okay, just want to remind you to keep an eye on your tyre temperature.
And you can hear the race engineer just telling us about that right now.
We monitor carcass temperature and surface temperature, and you'll get the best performance when they're both inside a normal operating window. Surface temps tend to fluctuate faster, so try a few laps with the data open and get a feel for how to control them.
So, the engineer just gave us a little bit of a rundown in terms of what's going on here. Let me explain it. You can see that we have the same data reiterated 4 times. That is representing each of the 4 corners on a car. Going from top to bottom in any one of those 4 corners, you can see the top line there in the MFD, reading 87C on the front axle, 88C now. That is the core temperature of the tire. That is the temperature of the tire's internal structure. Where the carcass and the canvas internal structure is, that is the temperature of the inside of the tire. Below that, we have the surface temperature of the tire. That is the temperature of the tire tread block itself. Below that, we have our brake temperature. That is measuring the temperature of the brake disc, the brake rotor. Here I've got it set to display in degrees centigrade for all 3 parameters here. Temperature limits are pretty much the same as they were on F1 2017. When the brakes exceed 1000 degrees C, you'll get a little caution warning up there next to temperature. You will see there's a little blacked out exclamation point there. That's telling you that your brakes are a little bit too hot and you might want to cool them down. These Formula 1 brakes, they are carbon brakes. They do like to run hot. They have to be hot in order to work properly. Getting into a big braking zone here, you can see that they exceed 1000 degrees C under normal running conditions. So just be mindful of the brake temperatures. Most of the time though, you're going to be wanting to raise the brake temperature rather than lower it. You're going to be paying attention to that under safety car as well as under normal formation lap conditions. In the center of this screen there, the center of this screen, you can see 97 degrees C there. That is our engine water temperature. Here, this screen is taken directly from F1 2017. This is giving us our overall wear rates in 0 to 100% of our major driveline components. So from the top, we have MGU-H. That is the motor generator unit run off of the turbocharger. Below that, that is ES, Energy Store. That's our battery pack addition. CE, that's control electronics, so the computer boxes running everything for our engine management. ICE below that, that is internal combustion engines. That's the V6 turbo engine. Below that, MGU-K, that is the motor generator unit driven off of the rear axle. TC, not entirely sure what TC is. What is TC? It's not traction control, because we're not running... TC, turbocharger, there we go. A little bit of a brain relapse there, but turbocharger, so obviously self-explanatory, the condition of the turbine. And finally, gearbox, that's a condition of our gearbox. All 8 speeds in that box there. You can see our wear rates at 1%, with the exception of the MGU-K, which is at 0. This is our neutral screen for the MFD. You can see that we're not really displaying anything. We just have our cue for our radio commands, which we can bring up here. You'll also notice that our ambient volume is decreased when we bring up our radio commands there. You can use your voice, that's voice recognition. Now here, this is the main screen that I like to run. This is where you're going to be making all of your adjustments in the cockpit. Up at the top here, you can see fuel mix. We're running in mix 1 of 3 right now. We have lean, standard, and rich. Obviously, rich is for maximum engine power. Below that, front brake bias. They could just call it brake bias. This is telling you how much of your total braking force is going toward the front axle. Right now we have it to 56% to the front. We can ratchet it rearward, and you can see here that Magnussen's left hand is going down to adjust the little actuator there in the cockpit. Nice touch. Below that, differential. This is controlling how much your differential is going to lock under power, and we've gotten it very wrong there as I'm not paying attention. But you can see the MFD automatically triggers there if you experience damage to the car. Differential, obviously. How much is the rear axle going to lock under acceleration? And below this, new for F1 2018, ERS deploy. This controls your MGUH and MGUK in terms of their energy harvest as well as deployment over the course of a lap. None turns the system off, so it's all harvest, no deploy. And we have 5 steps through which we can adjust this. 0, obviously, no deployment. We can go to low, medium, high, overtake, and hot lap. Hot lap is the mode where you're going to be running in qualifying. However, it is the least frugal when it comes to energy management.
Your lap times are falling off. We want you to pit in for repairs. Box, box, box.
I am missing my front wing, so I have no front grip. See there, the understeer is real. We'll go into the pits and we'll get this repaired. Still have to get onto the pit lane speed limiter to avoid a pit lane speed violation. And the computer now is in control as we're going down pit lane at the 80 km/h speed limit. Now back into our pit box. All of this is an automated sequence. I suppose you could call it a cutscene if you will, but just like in 2017 and the other games before it, it does add a nice sense of immersion to the entire experience. We get wheeled back into the garage. The front jack gets in position. There we go. They'll bring down the screens for us to look at. They'll get the cooling air directed at the driver, and they'll get the tire blankets back on to keep our tires up to temperature.
Car repairs have set us back a little.
You can see here repair time. I've got no front wing, so they're going to be fixing that for us.
Our fastest lap is a 1 minute 55.8.
We can see here on our status screens, these are emulating the little screens that they put in front of the drivers while they are sitting in the garage or on the starting grid at the start of a Grand Prix. You can see that we have our overview of what's going on in the session. Our weather forecast going up to plus 20 minutes from right now, and now plus 30. Vehicle management, this is where we can select which tires we want to be running. We can select wet or dry at any time. Obviously it's dry out there right now, but we could put intermediates or wets on the car if we really wanted. Currently available to us for dry weather compounds, we have soft, medium, which we've been running on, and super soft, our softest compound right now. Moving to the car, the timing screen rather, this is our live session. So this is what's happening at the moment. We've set the 3rd fastest time at the moment. We're going to be eclipsed by Sebastian Vettel before too long. Live TV feed, this is a live view of what's going on. We can cycle through the different drivers out on track at the moment. There's our teammate, Romain Grosjean. He's on his outlap. Fernando Alonso also out on his outlap. And Charles Leclerc in the Sauber on his outlap as well. Lance Stroll in the Williams, you get the idea, showing you what's going on around here. Session management, this is where we could skip ahead to another practice or a qualifying session if we so desired. Vehicle management, car setup screen, this is where we can go to select our car setups. As you can see here, all of the same options that we had in 2017 have been reiterated here. Effectively, no differences at any point on this screen. Coming back out to here, it looks like they have gotten our car repaired. So what I want to do now is go back out, and we'll talk about what it's like to drive these cars.
Engine fired. We're set.
Back out into the pit lane, limiter off. Looks like we've got a clear track. We'll just bring everything up to temperature now, and we'll get semi-serious because we need to speak representatively about how the car feels. As we're bringing everything up to temperature, getting all of the tires and brakes into their happy places, I would just like to say a word about the physics in this game. In 2017, I know that I drew quite a bit of flack for my criticisms of the physics there. I stand by my criticisms, by the way. However, this time around, I'm trying to look at this in a fundamentally different manner. 2017, it never marketed itself as a proper sim. And that was good because it's not a proper sim. This one, however, 2018, they have started to market this game not as a sim per se, but Codemasters have gone out at several points here in the lead up to the release to talk about how they have completely redone the suspension model in these cars. They now have more accurate real-world data to go by, and they say that it makes the driving more realistic. I have to say that they're right. They're very right about this. First time I booted this up and went out on track, I've got to say I was pleasantly surprised. This is something that now enables us to fight as it would be, to quote Fernando Alonso. You've got so much more feel in these cars now. No, they do not feel 100% realistic. Assetto Corsa and iRacing and R-Factor, they're still going to be leaps and bounds ahead in the physics department. However, for a game that has been released on multiple platforms, catering to a wide swath of the Formula One fan base, I have to say that this is a huge improvement over last year's title. The cars do feel alive now. You cannot simply just get on the throttle in second gear and just have the rear end stick. It's not going to happen. You have to be careful on the throttle. Also, and this is another big improvement over 2017, the brakes now have actual feel to them. In 2017, I remember it took me a very long time to get used to the brakes. It was almost like an on-off switch. You either had full brakes and you locked up the front axle, or you had no brakes and you overshot the corner. This, though, I am braking in exactly the same manner as I brake in iRacing or Assetto Corsa. And guess what? It's responding as I would expect. That is a big leap forward for this franchise, and I've got to say, it is very welcome indeed.
Nice, you know, moving P6. P6 now.
Other things that are going to be impacting the way in which you drive these cars. Well, have a look around. The visuals, they've been spruced up a bit. F1 2018, the Codemasters team, they have updated the weather system a bit. They have updated the ambient lighting, and they have also extended the high-fidelity detail radius around your eye point here on the circuit. They have updated a lot of the tree textures. They've updated a lot of the wall textures and the curbing textures, and it really does all come together to give you a much more realistic experience in terms of what you see. I can use a lot of the same landmarks around here as I do on Assetto Corsa, for example, and they work. Couldn't do that before. Very nice. Those of you who are new to Halo, you will notice the view out the front end. It is different this year. Obviously, that's just going to be the reality. It's the reality for all the Formula One drivers this year, and therefore it's the reality for us. There is an option to remove the center stay of Halo, that column that's in the middle there, right in our direct forward line of sight. I'm obviously not running that. Those of you who just can't quite get used to this particular view, you do have the option to remove that center stay just to give you a little bit more visibility. Obviously, the real cars, they don't have that option, but that's something that Codemasters have allowed us to do if we so desire. I've gotten quite used to driving Halo in Assetto Corsa, so I'm going to continue running like this because, well, I'm used to it. But those of you who might need a little bit more time, that is an accommodation available to you. In terms of interfacing with the different subsystems now that we have on board these cars, big difference, ERS. We now finally have the option to manage our own energy recovery system in its deploy maps anyway. Obviously we're running now on our fastest setting, which is Hot Lap Mode 5. This is where we get our maximum deployment from the ERS. This is mainly a mode that you'd only want to be running in qualifying because obviously we are starting to run out of electricity, so we do need to be managing that. But the fact that you do have to be thinking about these things now is just going to add another element of tactics to how you approach a race. Obviously in Assetto Corsa and iRacing on the MP430, we're used to dealing with these systems. But for you console guys who haven't had the chance to sample those cars, this is new for you. You're going to find it challenging in the beginning, but before too long, you turn a few dozen laps, you'll start to learn about how that system works, and you'll learn how to manage it most effectively. The team also will come on the radio periodically reminding you, hey, your battery's running a little bit low, you might want to think about switching your ERS mode. Do with it as you will. But you now have full control of it. 2017, you had no options to interface with that system at all. Now, we have all sorts of instrumentation and control over it. You can see on the steering wheel there, we have lots of indicators regarding the status of our ERS. On the steering wheel there, in the lower section of the LCD, you can see that blue bar running across the bottom. That is our overall state of charge in the battery pack.
That puts you in P2 for that last lap.
So that is the amount of electricity that the car has on board available. Above that, to the left, that is our deployment bar. That is telling us how much electrical power we have available to us on a given lap. So you can see that the bar is cycling down as we are going along on this lap here, our 6th lap this session. That will only replenish when you cross start finish at the end of the current lap. To the right of that, the yellow bar, that is your harvest bar. Just like our deploy setting, we have a maximum amount of electricity that we can harvest over the course of a given lap. So that bar, that yellow bar, will only cycle upward relative from left to right as we're going around on the circuit, and then that will go back to 0 once we cross start finish. So we have 3 things that we're monitoring here. We have the overall energy store, the overall battery charge available on the car at any given time. We have the amount of energy available for deployment on this lap, and then we have the amount of energy available for harvest on this lap. So again, just some more instrumentation for you to deal with. It's really not difficult to understand, but it is new, something for your eyes to adjust to. See here, we are running out of electricity, so I'm just going to be monitoring that. I've switched down into our medium setting here on the ERS deploy. We'll now harvest more energy than we deploy, and you should see that blue bar down at the bottom of the steering wheel start to tick up more than it ticks down. Our other instrumentation here in the car, same as 2017. Still have our shift lights across the top of the steering wheel, as you can see there once we get into some higher revs. You still have the beep for the DRS. Rear view, you can see the flaps open now. DRS works exactly the same as it did before. In a race situation, you can only use it when you're within 1 second of a car in front in the DRS zones. That's unchanged. And in terms of everything else that you see, it is ported over from 2017. Also something that might be a little bit difficult for you to hear right now, but the sounds in 2018, some of the other videos that I've already posted, you've already gotten a chance to hear some of the engine sounds. Big improvement this time. The cars do sound much more realistic now. Certainly they have revised a lot of their sound samples, maybe even recorded some new ones. You can hear the gearbox now, you can hear the MGU system spooling up and down now. You can hear the turbocharger as well. Much more depth into these sounds. As you're at high speeds, you can also hear the plank on the bottom of the car scraping the racetrack. It's a very nice touch, very immersive sound quality now. I'm quite pleased with it. Back now into our pit box. They will push us back into the garage as they did earlier. And now, back into the garage. Everything is as it was earlier. We can go back and we can take a look at what the session is doing right now.
If you want to know specific information or make certain changes to the car during a pit stop, you can tell me what you want over the radio. Press and hold the radio button to activate the system, and you can either speak the command or select it manually from the radio screen that will appear on the multifunction display. While the radio is active, cycle through command groups with the MFD button.
And the engineer is always going to come in with those helpful little tidbits here as you go in and out of the garage during a practice session. But this is our timing screen. Right now, we are second in the session right now, ahead of Lewis Hamilton. How about that? And we're on the medium tires. Not a bad performance so far in this Haas, but that's just our first little primer in terms of what's going on here in F1 2018. Next, though, we are going to go toward our qualifying session, as you can see there. And we are going actually to race this thing. So, please stick around for that. We'll see you in qualifying next. Welcome to qualifying. Well, whatever's about to happen, we're gonna get this Haas off of the back row of the grid. Who knows where exactly we're going to start. Our practice times were encouraging, but now we are on the super soft tires, and we're about to go out for our first run in this short qualifying session. Mark for May regulations now apply. Let's go.
Engine fired, we're set.
All right, out. We are into the pit lane. Lean out all of our engine and MGU settings right now. Let's get our outlap done. That is one interesting thing to note here. When you go out in qualifying, it's assuming that you're just going to select hot lap, and it's going to just spit you off getting set up for a hot lap. It will have all of your settings by default set for their maximum performance. You're not going to want that if you're driving out of the pits, so just remember to reset all of that. Look at our temperatures here. Get ourselves up to temperature with the tires and brakes. That's not what we wanted to do on our outlap. We're going to hit the wall. Yep, we hit the wall. Hooray! I don't have any time to fix it. See, that's something I don't quite understand about the physics. We're going to have to explore that a little bit more. Sometimes you can turn into a corner and it won't complain at all. Other times it'll just snap oversteer on you. And quite honestly, the way in which it stepped out there was not at all realistic. But we'll see. We will persevere with our damaged wing. And that was a big loss in frame rate there. I don't know what that was all about. Again, little teething problems with the brand new title. Some of it may be the game itself, some of it may be me not quite having learned about how it works yet. We'll see. Anyway, DRS missing the left side element of our front wing, going for our first flying lap here in this qualifying session. Qualifying, you still have 4 engine modes available, as we did in 2017. Mix 4 is the most powerful. You only have that available in qualifying. Feeling the effects of missing a little bit of our front wing. Again, just going to have to deal with it. Van Dorn lurking behind us. What are we on target for right now? Can't tell. So 148 looks at that puts us P6 right now.
You're now in P7.
Now P7. We're going to let Stoffel go.
There's only 1 lap of fuel remaining.
Don't know what he's doing. He's probably on an in-lap as well at this point. That's pretty sad, though. We're out-qualified by a McLaren at the moment. Again, slightly handicapped car. What is he doing? That's weird. The only thing I can guess is we've got 2 guys on an in-lap and the computer's not quite sure what it is I want to do. Box this lap.
Confirmed. We'll receive you at the end of this lap.
Maybe that'll tell the game that I'm on an in-lap. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to go back out, considering we have to repair the car. But we're going to find out. Brakes. Second gear. Pit entry time. Don't need any pit speed violations. That would be an instant grid penalty, I'm pretty certain. Yep, Stoffel was on an in-lap. Let's see what the damage is. Let's see how much time we have left. Okay, 50 seconds of repair time. That's actually not bad.
Set us back a little. So far, our fastest lap is a...
How much time do we have left in this session? That's something that is of utmost importance to me. 9:50. All right, still plenty of time to play. We're going to put a new set of Super Softs on. And we'll just wait for that repair time to tick down to 0. And we'll head back out for one more run. I think we just have enough time to do that. All right. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Send me, boys.
Personnel be aware. Car leaving.
All right, drop down to P10 for the moment. Now all the settings are back where I had left them. That's good.
We've dropped to P12.
Yeah.
Position on the grid.
We're still ahead of Alonso somehow. All right, let's try not to get in anybody's way on our out lap. Also try not to get anybody in our way for our flying lap next time by. There we go, it's stuck to the road perfectly that time. And let's start getting ourselves built up. Let's go to mix 4. Pre-select our ERS settings there. Bring that up to hot lap as we are going into bus stop. Okay, hot lap selected. Let's go for it. Wow, lots of wheel spin out the back there. Okay. Now in the practice run on the medium tires going through the Eau Rouge Radio complex, the rear end got a bit skatey. It's not happening on the super soft tires. That's encouraging. I'll brake myself into the coma a little bit. We're still well ahead of our previous time. Purple in Sector 2. That's very encouraging for a Haas. Used all of our electricity for this lap. On the power. That's good for what? Pole? What? That's good for pole position? Are you mad? Not a chance. I mean, I know speed is a great equalizer. Sometimes cars that aren't as fast around most of the traditional circuits might be a bit faster on a place like this, but still. Carlos Sainz in our way. Box this lap.
Pitting this lap then. Come into the pits at the end of this lap.
All right. Really don't have time for anything else anyway. I think that's the best lap we could reasonably hope for. Now what I'd be very interested to see though is what happens when Lewis Hamilton comes out, when he does a 141 or something ridiculous. Right back to the garage, and we'll watch the clock tick down to the end of the session, take a look at the timing screen, see what's going on. Right, mechanics have done what they're supposed to do. Let's take a look at the timing screen, see what the damage is. Bottas there.
So far
all right.
is a 1 minute 46.1.
146.39 for Bottas, 146.134 for us. Has Hamilton? Yeah, wow, look at how far back Hamilton. There we go. Hamilton to the top, a 145.984. That's more like it. Anyway, we have about 2 minutes remaining in this session. We shall do a jump cut and get you through the last 2 minutes so we're just not sitting here filling dead space with useless commentary. All right, just coming through about 12 seconds to go in this qualifying session. You can see the order at the top remains unchanged. Hamilton in front of us by just 1.5 tenths. That's pretty remarkable.
If you need to find some more time, then
I'd have to take a look at the AI settings anyway.
How'd
How'd that happen?
Here's a look at your top three. Hamilton, Bottas, and Sebastian Vettel. It's time to leave for now, but we'll be back tomorrow when the Grand Prix itself gets underway.
I mean, I understand Bottas and Vettel obviously were still on hot laps as the clock ran out, but I don't know, it might be a good idea if you wanted to show us that happen in real time rather than just spring the surprise on us because we went from P2 to P4. Still a ridiculously good performance for a Haas, but still we're a lot closer than we should be. Where Grosjean is in P9, that's much more representative of the performance of the Haas, so I think we're going to have to tweak the AI settings a little bit for subsequent content, but for the moment, running them at 88%, this is where we are. It's a little bit too easy. Anyway, there is our final qualifying order. Hamilton and Bottas on the front row. Another lockout for Mercedes. Sebastian Vettel trying to pick up the pieces. Where is Kimi Räikkönen? That is the better question. Wow, no time set down there in P20. That's interesting. The game is allowing little unforeseen circumstances to happen to the AI. That's pretty good. But the rest of the field, pretty much par for the course. Alonso up there in P11 and Van Dorn in P14. So it's not a Mick Honda. Don't call it a Mick Honda. But yeah, the McLaren rows continue. Yeah, it's bad. Really, really bad. Anyway, though, we do have to advance into our 25% race, which we shall do presently. Stand by for fireworks from Spa and my first ever real serious start in F1 2018. Welcome to the starting grid. Yeah, P4 on the outside of row 2. This should be interesting. You can see here on the grid, you can look around a little bit, left and right. You can also look down into the cockpit a little. See the nice chassis homologation sticker there. Nice little detail. I also like the detail of the carbon weave on the cockpit surround and on the halo. Nice little graphical touch there. But, yeah, off we go for our first proper semi-serious start here in F1 2018 to the race. No formation lap. This is a proper start. And off we go. Lots of wheel spin there in first, second, and third gears. Inside line has been cut off by somebody. We retain P4 out of La Source. The only direction we can go now is forward, at least in theory. Having to back out a little bit up through ready on there. Look at this very close bunch down the Kemmel Straight. That's Bottas and Hamilton trying to go for it. Vettel's in the mix. Vettel just crashed into us and we've lost part of our front wing. Having to defend now from Verstappen, which we do. That was quite a clumsy move on the part of Sebastian Vettel. I don't know what he was trying to achieve with that, but he managed it. Now understeer setting in. I don't know if Vettel has any damage, but we do. Wow, look at the understeer. We're in trouble. Well, we're going to be changing that wing on the stop. That's going to lose us a bunch of time.
Alright, let's focus now for the rest of the race.
Alright, we're going to repair that damage on our pit stop. I don't think we need to dive in earlier than we had been planning, but yeah, that's definitely going to hurt us. See, something like that is actually very discouraging to see from the AI. He just blatantly ran us off the road. He knew I was there. I showed him a wheel into the braking zone. Ran into us. That's honestly not something that I want to see from AI. And of course, we're already well outside of DRS range, but Verstappen will have DRS on us starting next lap. Yep, there was a piece of our wing there on the outside of the Coombe, just a little piece of carbon there. It's actually pretty cool that you can see the debris a lap later. But anyway, do we have anything for these guys in front now that the tires are up to temperature? We are feeling the effects of missing that little wing element. It's not too bad, but understeer is there. Guys in front will already be managing their ERS. We're not managing it yet, but we will be very soon. Interested to hear what the team is going to tell me on the radio regarding the ERS.
this lap, you can use it when within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Yep, I outbraked myself there. We're going to lose a position, aren't we? Yep. Hello, Max. I've been hit from the guy behind. Come on. That was Ricardo who hit us that time. That's ridiculous.
Okay, box. We're adjusting the strategy. Come in this lap.
That's absolutely ridiculous. He just blatantly hit us off the road.
This will be a major performance impact.
Safety car.
For a new one. Check your MFD for a new strategy option. Okay, slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your pace.
Now remind you, the AI is at 88%. They're being so aggressive. That's twice we've been driven off the road by somebody, at the same corner as well. That's absolutely ridiculous. Box this lap.
Right, come in at the end of this lap.
Most of our front wings now missing. Looks like the guys around us have gotten the idea of pitting as well.
Roman is in the pits.
All right, well, at least we're ahead of our teammate in the pits. Yep, Romanus is stacked. Wow, they're just holding us to let everybody through. Come on. Is there anybody that actually came out behind us? Ricardo.
Look after these tires.
So we gained
now.
nothing.
We want to finish the race on this compound.
Well, at this point, it's just the run up to catch the safety car line. We look to be in P13. I have to say, I am less than impressed with the etiquette of the AI so far. Run off the road twice, receiving damage both times. The good news is we should be quicker than the guys immediately in front of us, even though we're now running on all the same tires, all the soft compound. Immediately in front we have Stroll and Science. In front of them it looks like it's a Force India. Is it Perez or Ocon? Doesn't really matter. And obviously the field is all bunched up as we are behind the safety car. So perhaps some low-hanging fruit for us on the restart. We'll see when the restart happens. Typically in F1 2017, we had the restarts after 2 laps behind the safety car. We'll see if that dynamic continues. Gasly, what's going on with Gasly there? He's just stopped. The game ghosted him out, thankfully.
Field a bit. We're dropping too far back. Remember that we need to stay within 10 car lengths of the next car.
Dropping too far back. You had a Toro Rosso just stop on track. I had to avoid him. Yeah, these are little things that need to be worked out, Cody's. AI runs you off the road, and then you get yelled at for dropping back too far when you avoid an on-track hazard. Yeah, you gotta work that out. See if we get any word about the safety car coming in this lap. Expect that around the, perhaps around the exit of Puhan, or perhaps the approach to Stavolo. That's when you usually got it in F1 2017. Let's see what they say.
Safety
All
car
right.
in this lap. Safety car in this lap. Let's make sure those tyres are up to temperature, and remember there is no overtaking.
What is my driver's right hand doing?
Stay in position until the green flags.
He seems to have some sort of a hand spasm going on. He cannot control his thumb. That's interesting. Yeah, it doesn't matter if I change up or down through the gears or make any adjustments. Kevin Magnussen's right hand has lost its mind, everybody. Like, what the? All right, now he gets his hand sorted out. And I've been run up the back again, and we're out of the race. What was that? What was that? Seriously, what was that? Safety car restart, we get run up the back. Are you kidding me? What? Why?
Well, what a drive that was to take the win for Ferrari today.
This is a... You know, this all started looking so promising. I was talking about how great the improvements that they've made with this game are, and the AI have turned into an utter bug fest.
Keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
All right, the podium sequences, they look pretty much the same as they did last year, but what is this? I mean, the driving dynamics are a lot better, the sounds are a lot better, the graphics have been improved to a point, but the AI literally run you off the road at every opportunity.
Now then,
Final
Anthony
order.
Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Well, I have to give it to Kimi Räikkönen. Consistency, good battle, sensible driving. He can be pleased with that performance today.
That's it for today's Grand Prix, and from Ant and I, it's goodbye, and see you again next time.
All right, were any penalties dished out to anybody? Nope, I'm the only DNF. Ricciardo gets a 1.5 second penalty. Stroll gets a 5 second penalty. But I'm out of the race, and I'm the only retirement. What was that? Honestly, what was that? It's a safety car restart. You're holding back a little bit because you can't overtake. You're going to close that gap into the bus stop, and somebody runs into the back of you and takes you out of the race. What was that? Quite honestly, Codemasters, explain to me what you mean. Like, what? Well, that didn't end the way I wanted it to end. I have a lot of good things to say about this game. I really do, but that AI needs some serious work because it's a bug fest right now. You don't get run into 3 times in the same race, once under safety car, and you get taken out. No, that's completely unacceptable. as many good things as I have said in this video, that has completely spoiled my taste of this for the moment. That's a bug fest, and unlike last year, I can actually demonstrate what I mean. That's ridiculous. That needs to be fixed now. Anyway, though, that is my first look with commentary at F1 2018. Hopefully we're going to have some more normal type performances coming your way, but for the moment, that is what's going on. Again, I like what I see, I really do. I'm very encouraged, but that AI needs to be fixed now. Anyway, though, I hope you enjoyed this one. We will see you very soon with some more F1 2018 content. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you soon.